Okay, so we found all of this information by looking at those two graphs. You discussed this in your groups. We're going to make a t-table. So I'm going to erase this. Okay. And you guys are going to put the table into your notes. Okay, so it's just like if we were to graph them by ourselves, except we are already given some of the points. Okay, so for my black graph, for x, y, my points are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If you couldn't see them, I made them a little bit bigger. What is my first point for that? -6, 0? Is that a point? Yes, it is. Okay, do I have, what's my next point? -4, 1, do we agree? We're just labeling the points. What is my third point? 0, 3. What is my fourth point? 2, 4. And what about my last point?
8 and 8.
7, 8, or is it 8, 7? I think that's 8, 7. Yeah, because I have 5, 6, 7, 8, 5, 6, 7. Okay, so that point is 8, 7. Are you okay with those points? All we did was label them from our graph. Okay. Now, I'm going to label the points, or you're going to help me label the points for the red graph. So they're not given to us, but we can still identify some points. What do you think the first point we might want to use is? All the way to the left. 0, what? 0, -6. Do we agree with that? Okay, 0, -6. I like it. What's maybe our next point? 3, 2 is the next point?
1,
-1, -4. Is that a point too? Yeah. Okay, what else did you say, Galileo? I heard another one. 3, 0. I like it. Are you noticing anything yet? Yeah, what's the pattern? Yeah, they invert because we're doing inverses. So we switch x and y. Do you see that? How each x and y has switched? Okay. I know, right? Okay, so what do you think the fourth point is going to be? Just from our tables. Our fourth point is 4, 2. And let me see when I graph it, if that's right. Over 4, up 2. Is that a point? Yeah. Okay, and all of you, can you all tell me what the last point is? 7, 8. And let's check it. Over 7, up 8. Is that a point? Okay, so what did you tell me happened with the x's and the y's with the two tables? Yeah, they inverted. We switched the x and the y value. So if you forget, another way to think of this is my black y and my black x. And I switched the values, okay? Now, those are inverses of each other. Before I move on, I want to show you something else. I'm going to graph a line in blue. The equation to this line, is y equals x. Okay. This blue line, that equation is y equals x because it goes through the point 0, 0, 1, 1, 2, 2, -1, -1, -2, -2, and all the way throughout, okay? Now, do you notice anything about the black and the red graph with respect to that blue line? Do you notice anything? They all intersect at one point. What do you mean, Alexis? She said they flip. Okay, flip is not the mathematical term, but it is a good... they intersect and they invert, and then you said reflect. So, there's a reflection across the line y equals x. Do you remember learning this last year with your reflections? So if I folded this graph in half across the blue line, the black and the red line would match up. So when that happens, that means the graphs or those equations are inverses of each other, okay? So on a test or on a quiz, you don't have to draw the blue line in, but I recommend that you do, because that way you can see if your graph is correct. Because what happens if you accidentally, I don't know, you misplotted a point and then you graphed it like that? Those aren't inverses of each other now. Those two red lines are no longer inverses, okay? So the blue line is just there to kind of help you. So that blue line is there to help you visualize. If I folded along that line, they are inverses. They do reflect. There is symmetry right there, okay? Now, before we move on, we have to write the equation of our red line. So remember, a line is y equals mx plus b. Okay, what is m? What is my slope for the red line? We identified it earlier. What is it again? I heard somebody whisper it. It's 2 over 1. Because my original is 1 over 2. So this is 2 over 1, which we can simplify to 2. And then what is our y-intercept? Where do I go through the y-axis for my red graph? At -6. So that is my y-intercept, okay? So to fill this in, I have mx plus b. And instead of writing y equals, or instead of writing f of x equals, since we are doing inverses, the way we write this is f inverse of x equals. Okay? So when you're writing an inverse equation, you're going to put the little -1 symbol. That's what tells me it's an inverse, okay?
Why does that have to be the red line?
Why is the red line the inverse?
Yeah.
Why does it have to be the red line's b?
Okay, so the black line.
It was the given one. That's f of x.
So it's
That's the one we started with.
okay. All right.
I had to take a y-intercept from the red one because that's the one I was finding the equation to. Because that's my inverse. And I told you the red one is the inverse. Okay, so on the next slide, we're going to graph from the beginning. Okay, so we're going to graph the original and the inverse. So yes, this one we're going to write into our notes. Not just the table, but the graph as well. So we have g of x equals 3x minus 6. So first we need to start by graphing g of x equals 3x minus 6. So we like to identify our slope and our y-intercept. What is my y-intercept? -6. And what's my slope? 3, which is 3 over 1 when I'm talking about rise over run, right? So how do I start graphing this line? Where do I put my first point at? At 0, -6. Because that's my y-intercept. What do I do next? I go over 1, up 3, or up 3 over 1. So is that my next point? Because I went up 3 over 1. Now from that point, I'm going to go up 3 over 1 again, which is here. And I'm going to do one more point, up 3 over 1. And on this part, this is something you guys have been doing since probably IM1. Yeah, since your freshman year. So we're just graphing normally, okay? So I'm going to draw this as a line. Is that okay so far? Okay. Now I want to make a table and fill in those points that we just wrote. So can I get a volunteer, please? Tell me, what is the first point? Someone I haven't heard from today, please raise your hand. Raise your hand, and I haven't heard from you today. Yes, Alexis, what is the first one?
0, -6.
Yes, 0, -6 is my first point. What's my second point from someone else? Thank you. 1, -3. Thank you, Nathan. Next point. 2, 0. And then do I have any other points? I have one more. What's the last one that I wrote? 3, 3. Okay. Now I'm going to do my next table in red because this is going to be my inverse. So can I have a volunteer to tell me what is my first new point? Negative 6, 0. Helene, you want to do the second one? Negative 3, 1. Okay, what is the third one? 0, 2. And everyone, what is my last point? 3, 3, because I switched them, but they happened to be the same point. So now, I'm going to graph this. So I have negative 6, 0, negative 3, 1, 0, 2, and 3, 3. Is this looking good so far? Mm-hmm. I think so.
Yes.
Is that what you get? Okay, do those look like inverses of each other?
Yeah.
Okay, let's double check by graphing the line y equals x. If I fold that across my black line, is that a mirrored or a reflection? Yeah. So then that means my last step is to write my equation. So I need m and b for my inverse. So what is my inverse for m? What is my slope for the inverse? 1 over 3. Yes, how did you get that? You go up 1 over 3. Up 1 over 3. Okay. What is my y-intercept?
2.
Yes, it is at 2. 0, 2. So to write that into my equation, I have 1/3 x plus 2. Now, do I write g of x? Does it write equals g of x? Inverse g of x. So g to the negative 1 of x. And that will be my final answer for this, okay? Where are you confused? The whole thing? Okay, Galilee, what was the last thing that you understood? Do you know how I graphed the blue line? So let's look. Now, I need someone, please, to read the paragraph that's on the screen. Can I get a volunteer? Diego, you want to read it this time? No? Okay, Danielle is going to read this paragraph for us. Okay, so what are those two pictures of? Okay, what's on top? What's happening on the top row? They're wrapping the present, and what are they doing on the bottom? Unwrapping it, right? Because wrapping and unwrapping are inverses of each other. So let's talk about this because it will play in what we're doing tomorrow. So for the first one, for wrapping our present, put the present in the box, close the box, wrap the box, put a bow on the box, and then give my present to someone, okay? Now, to open a present, do I follow that same order of steps? No, what do? I have to reverse it, do the opposite. So instead of giving the present, I'm taking a present, then I'm taking the bow off instead of putting it on, then I'm unwrapping it instead of wrapping it, then I open it instead of close it, and then I take the gift out of the box, okay? So tomorrow, we're going to start by playing Guess My Number. So we have 5 Guess My Number games, and then we are going to move into finding inverses algebraically because that's exactly how we do it, okay? So again, tonight's homework, you can start it, but I'm telling you, you probably cannot finish it. After tomorrow, you will definitely be able to do all of it, okay? So